Hey, 4 shot fired.
Copy, additional shot fired.
Shot fired, shot fired. He's shooting at us.
Suspect shooting at officer.
Suspect down. He's at the base of the stairs. White t-shirt, white male.
All right, folks, it is an honor and a privilege to welcome our newest guest, Tom Wolf, to the show. Tom is a deputy sheriff with the Parker County Sheriff's Department in Texas, and Tom has a remarkable story to share. Tom has 10 years in law enforcement and 7 years as a SWAT team member. He's also assigned to the patrol division. So without further ado, let's introduce Tom, and let's kick this off. So, Tom, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and where you're from?
All right. Born in Fort Worth, raised here in North Texas. Been working at the sheriff's office out in Parker County for a few years now, about 8. Been on the SWAT team for 7. Been assigned to the sniper unit for about 6 years. I'm a firearms instructor. I'm a field training officer on the patrol side, and an instructor for all other things involving law enforcement as well. So, just really got a passion to learn and keep teaching, and hopefully through some of my my experiences, and we can make the collective a little better and a little stronger and a little more prepared when they go out there and do their work.
Yeah, and we appreciate that. I mean, that's why all three of us have, we started this podcast for the same mission, right? Like, we want to make people better in the law enforcement community. So you have an awesome story to share, man. You were shot 6 times, is that correct?
5. If you include my bolt gun, that took number 6.
Okay, so you were shot 6 times during an actual SWAT mission. And why don't you go ahead and walk us through that day, and let's tell everybody what happened.
Okay. It started off as a domestic disturbance between family members, residents. Things, I guess, escalated pretty quickly during the incident. As it was ramping up, the initial responding officers were engaged, and I believe while they were en route, the actor had executed his sister during that deal while it was still on the 911. So it turned into a SWAT call out pretty quick. While I made scene, everybody, we were still treating it as a barricaded person. So it's county. It's a real rural area, and lots of trees, fields. Stuff gets pretty thick, so we get a good mix of. You got some urban stuff, and we got a lot of rural stuff. So, checked in at the command post and said, "Hey, where you need me? What do I need to be on today?" And so the people that had already shown up were starting to work the property. It's kind of laid out. The CP was at the north, and it kind of comes, north to south along the property line. He showed me a map on his phone and the target house. Said, "Hey, we need the southeast side of the property secured and get eyes on the residents and, get to work." So I planned my route, gave him a brief description of what route I was going to take, and loaded up my gear and checked in on the radio, and then just started moving to my position. So that day, we're on a collateral duty team, so who shows up sometimes is different, and especially with sniper deployments, they can be what we call hasty deployments. Mm-hmm. It's nice to always have I like a 4-man element to do some stuff, but sometimes we have the ability to get into places, come in from other properties and, keep a low signature. So started working the tree line on the next property over to the east, working my way south, had to climb a few fences. So I deployed that day I had my bolt gun and my drag bag on my back. It was evening, so I had a lot of my night vision and stuff, and extra gear clipped on, because I figured we'd be there for a minute. And I had my Mark 18 out while I was getting into position. So that go to work, start climbing, going, moving through the fields, using my screens and everything that I knew where to check on and keep myself concealed from the target house. So I'd worked my way down close to where the house was, where I was about level with it, and got over that last fence, and then there was like a little creek and a gully with kind of like a little hill in it. And I just checked in at one of my wake points, and so I was probably about, I don't know, 20, 25 yards from where I wanted to be to set up on this guy. And that was I'd actually checked in to see where I was in relationship to the house, so I could kind of see where he was through the bushes. And I turned to kind of walk away and go up this gully so I could come back around and come behind to get into this this bush, concealed area where I could set up on that property. Mm-hmm. And you heard 3 shots, pow, 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 go right off. And it was so close, I couldn't tell where it was coming from. Of course, my initial thought was, get on the ground like I did and start checking myself. And I found one of the rounds had gone through my waist, right at the top of my my butt. And so it was kind of, like, holy shit, like this, the game changer of, okay, this is here. I no longer have the element of surprise. I'm kind of struggling to figure out why I'm going to, what I'm going to do. So, I got on the radio and let them know that I'd been hit. And so I was kind of laying down in this little gully, and there was all this like trash and leaves and everything. And I still had all my stuff on my my shoulders. When, let's see, I'd gotten to a point where I was trying to figure out where he was or how he found me, because I'd done everything. I mean, it was July. It was July 9th, 2020, in the evening. Clear sky, lots of veg, and everything that I had been trained to do, I was doing, and I couldn't figure how he knew where I was, except that he had the drop on me. And so I mean, this kind of like seconds or minutes kind of thing. A second volley rang off. I was working my comms, and I have my button on my plate right here on my chest.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of laying down on my left side, and I come off of my button, and literally my hand is, right in front of my face. And the first round from the second volley went through my hand. And, he kept shooting. It was kind of like a slow cadence fire. And he kept, I couldn't get any lower, but I kept trying to become one with all that dirt and, leaves on the ground. So I knew I had the one round through my waist, and I had the one through my hand. And when he stopped shooting, I got back on comms and let him know where that I'd been hit again. I had taken another round in my chest that had come down, so he was actually hiding in the bushes that I was going to set up on him. And there was probably about 3-4 feet of tall grass and veg, and I was on the other property line, so he'd probably heard me. I think they said I was probably within like 15, 17 yards of him. He had an AR-15.
Oh shit!
Wow. And so. It's just kind of the ultimate humbling moment of what to do when you're like, man, I can't the guy has the drop on me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've been ambushed. You know, I just taken a round through my hand inches from my face. You know, at that point, it was time to go. If I stayed there, I was, you know, certain he was going to kill me. You know, I figured, got my straps loose on my bolt gun and dropped some of my gear. And I grabbed my Mark 18 and I just started crawling out of there. You know, I fully expected him to come and finish me off. And so I'd crawl a little bit, then I'd roll over and I'd put my, you know, lay my rifle, you know, on my stomach and then kind of check my sector behind me and then get back on the comms if we had to do anything, because I was staying in communication with command. There was a rescue team that had been put together that was converging on my position. And, you know, I didn't know. You know, every time he was shooting, I couldn't. It was instantaneous between the rounds impacting and the sound. And at that point, you know, he's inside that 50 danger close. You know, he's not, you know, a further away. I don't hear rounds coming through leaves and veg and all that stuff. So I heard later that there were 14 rounds. I took 5. So I ended up one off of the back of the head on my helmet. The magazine on my plate carrier took one. Took one in the chest, where there's still a bullet down here. And then one through the hand and then one through the waist. And those were the through and throughs. My bolt gun that was on my back took another one right through the magazine to the chassis. Just kept crawling. I felt like I crawled a football field, but, you know, turns out it had probably been like, you know, 30, 40 feet. But there was a little hill and an embankment. So I'd crawl and then flip over and check. And, you know, it's kind of one of the things that still haunts me is knowing that guy was still there. He had still had the gun. He still knew where I was. I didn't know about I knew he had already shot at the other guys, but, man, it was just, you know, it was hard to get over the fact that I couldn't return the favor because I couldn't see him.
Yeah.
He was concealed in all the bushes and under a tree and everything. And I never had any target indicator or anything to work with. So if I had stayed there, I had to go. And I didn't want to. I mean, it was just time to keep crawling and keep going. And the guys finally found me and got to where I was. And they grabbed me and we got out of there. They did a quick check, and then I got tossed in the back of a pickup, and then we went and did some Dukes of Hazzard shit through some people's properties, and they, you know, they got me to the Care Flight helicopter and got me stabilized. But, you know, the whole time, you know, even when all that, it was still like I still had something to work with. I still got this, you know. Remember the one that went through my hand? You know, I wiggled my thumb a little bit, and it was kind of like, well, I'm not taking my glove off, but, you know, we'll deal with that later. I still got work to do. So,
yeah,
it was just time to go and kind of deal with, you know, what we could for the rest of it. So
that's crazy. About how long was it before the rescue team or your first partner got to you after the first volley?
Was it a few minutes? Yeah, less than 5.
Less than 5. So, I mean, to some people that might seem like not that long, but that's got to seem like
it's a long time.
Like 5 hours probably. It probably felt like.
Yeah, it felt like an eternity. I mean, like seconds turned to minutes, and you know, it was, you know, surreal in some of the moments of like, okay, you know, this is happening, but, you know, there was never, I don't really haven't, you know, the fear or, you know, worried about doing it. I was still there. I don't know how bad that one off the back of my helmet rattled my noodle, but I mean, the whole time it was just calm. It was just go to work, do what you can. if I can't be successful at this position, then I have to find another position to fight from. If he's got me pinned down, I have to get out and get to a better position. I mean,
and you didn't know where he was basically this entire time, right?
Mm-mm.
That's got to be pretty tough on its own.
Yeah, I mean, so going back just a little bit for me, like tactics standpoint, obviously at some point he exits the house assumingly before you guys get there, right? Or is that unknown at this point? Like at some point, obviously this dude freaking exits the house while you guys are either getting there or on your way or whatever, but he's obviously not in the house when you guys are getting set up in position, and you're thinking he's in the house.
Yeah.
So from a tactical standpoint, I mean, shit, obviously he knew what he was doing, right? Because he knew that you guys were coming. So he's setting himself up in almost like in a Overwatch position for himself.
Yeah. No, I mean, he had all the concealment. He had all the veg. There was sometimes in the back of county, and there's people like throw their trash and there's old stuff and appliances. And there was like an old piece of a refrigerator or some type of something that was that. I'm glad he wasn't as, skilled as some of our other operators, but, as far as that, he was just, from what we could tell, shooting through the veg and the brush. And then there were like some, panels that had been strung along this fence that had bullet holes in them. So, he didn't have an optic or anything. It was just a, pretty plain Jane AR-15. But, he was close enough that, it did its job.
Yeah.
And,
what time of night was it?
It was in the evening. So, 6:40?
So still daylight.
It was enough for it.
Right?
Yeah. We had evening sun.
Okay, so it's not, it's not fully pitch black. So, I mean, I'm sure he probably either, like you said, either heard you and then once he's got the drop on you, like, you're kind of fucked at that point. Like, he knows where you are, but you don't know where he's at. But when you said, I like it when you said that, obviously we train, like, get off the X, and if you're in a gunfight, at least I say, like, the last place you want to be is where you just were, where the suspect knows that you just were, right? So, like, if there's some type of lull or something in the gunfight, and you have cover or somewhere to get cover, the last place I want to be is where I just engaged this guy. Like, I want to get somewhere to cover, and so then you have the element of surprise. But so I like that you say that, because that's huge, and I don't think in our profession that's trained a whole lot. Especially when we're going to the range and we're kind of doing static shooting. I'm a very big proponent of moving and shooting and identifying, what's cover, concealment, and trying to get to a new location of cover for that reason. So for you to even have the wherewithal to get off the X and get the hell out of there, like, knowing you can't just sit there and get shot to death, like, that's, I think that's awesome. Like, that's, when you're in a gunfight like that and you're getting shot at, or even you're shot, it's hard to think of those things. I mean, your brain is going like a million miles an hour. So just the fact that you even thought to do that, I think that's fantastic. And honestly, it probably saved your life.
Well, I knew I was dead if I stayed there.
For sure.
And,
I think so.
And that was just, crawl and then rotate and scan. I was, there's that moment when, I was crawling and the adrenaline or everything all combined or whatever. But, it felt like I was fighting through concrete as far as just the moving and getting there and crawling out with the gun. But it was like, I fully expected that guy to stand up and just empty the mag in me. And, that's why I was I was rolling over, working on my comms and, scan and then roll back over and crawl some more. And, the guys got there and, it was a joke. It wasn't really a joke, but I was like, you always hear what angels are, but, I know what my angels are, and they're green when they came in, grabbed me up.
Yeah,
so.
No doubt. Yeah. Go ahead, dude.
I'm kind of curious. I mean, I was a former SWAT guy in operations and trying to identify locations and stuff. I'm kind of curious from the perspective of when it initially started and once you showed up, you got your assignment, you said, and then you checked your waypoints and you're identifying the location that you wanted to make it to. I'm kind of curious, can you paint a picture of, because you were talking about going to fields, like additional fences, like how far or what's the distance that we're talking about this property? Because it's hard to kind of picture.
I don't know. What, maybe a half mile?
Oh, wow. Okay.
From start to finish. Because we had a tree line that ran north to south on the edge of our property that we were working at. And so I went to the second tree line on the next property line, and I moved, to the south along that tree line, keeping another, screen in front of me. And then, went over the first fence, went down through the field. Then I climbed the second fence, and then I started to move to the west towards the target house. And then that way I could kind of check in and see where I was. And if I needed to back out, then I could go back and get further to the south or go way around to the south and then come up and get to where I needed to be on the southeast side. So I could set up in that veg and then have have control over the southeast side of the property as far as what would be the 2-3 side.
When you were making your movements to get there, was it line of sight, or did you have, because you said you were checking your location, was it like, do you have instruments or what's, are you able to
I check
see?
in periodically as far as moving, and when I get through certain obstacles, or if I'm with command, they want to know where we are because they're keeping everything on the deal. So I'll let them know what my location is in relation to where our target house is and where they are. So they at least have a general idea of where I am as far as moving through an environment. And then once I get to my final position, then we'll check in and let them know that I'll be setting up for my final firing position, or where I'm going to set up for the night to observe.
Wow. And did you actually make it to the location that you were going to, or were you close to it?
No, the guy was hiding in the bushes that I was going to.
Yeah. So you said you made it like within 15 to 20 yards within that, and he was actually where you wanted to go.
Yeah.
So had you even made it to that? I mean, you guys would have been fucking on top of each other.
If I had looped, there was a heavily wooded area and like a boat or something just randomly there in the woods. But if I had gone around and looped around and come up behind him, I would have been in the wide open. If I hadn't seen him first, he would have had me like as clear as day.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, you're expecting him to be in the house anyways, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
that position that you were at, since he took that position, I'm just curious, since he took that position, do you think that's a position advantage to see like the driveway and the front door where he could snipe guys on your team moving up to the house? Or do you think he knew where you were at and then was trying to cut you off? I'm just curious because
no. So, kind of the way things, when the incident started in the residence, from what I understand, the incident between him and his sister, and then the grandmother got pulled into it. When the arriving officers showed up, he had shot at them from inside the house to out. And I know one of them sustained a wound. I think he got some frag in his arm. Another one got a wounded tourniquet or something. But they were able to safely get out of there. And at some point, the grandmother either fell out the window or was pushed out the window. I don't know if she had been pushed out as a way to try to bait the responding officers in so he could clearly engage them. But they were able to, get good cover, and she got out of there. Now, when it started to switch from what's happening and the situation is ramping up and it turned into a SWAT call out, perimeters can get kind of hasty as far as whether, we have some, local PD guys, some DPS troopers that'll show up and scan our channel, and then other responding deputies. And then, there wasn't any security or perimeter on the back or south side of the property. Yeah. So his exfil out of the property was probably not long after those other guys bugged out.
Yeah.
And then where he was set up to perfectly ambush the anybody else that came to work. He had the 2 side, the 3 side, and the 4 side from where he was.
Wow.
It's tough, man. I mean, I've worked in a rural area like that when I first started in law enforcement, and it's I would say it's almost impossible to get good full containment on a house in an environment like that. Like it's almost just not possible because you've got this huge ass wide open area. I mean, it's like where we work. We work in a very urban environment, and man, we can get containment on a house on all 4 corners so quick. It's just not like that, and where you guys work. So, I totally get that. I mean,
Yeah, we're dealing with acreage.
yeah, you're not able to fully contain. You guys aren't able to actually get what we would consider an actual perimeter or containment. It's just not really feasible.
Well, when the team gets there, then
a little different story.
yeah. I mean, once the team gets there and we get all assets set up, then we can secure it and then take the next levels as far as what they're going to do operationally. But
Right.
man, it's really, really sketchy in those moments up until we can get all of our assets there on the team side. So everybody's under the same umbrella with what's coming down from command and team leaders.
Yeah.
And you guys are it's like it's not a full-time SWAT, right? As far as
Right.
you guys all have,
it's a part-time team.
so you guys
Or
all have
collateral
other
duty.
assignments and duties. And then, so were you working that night, or how'd that work? Do you come from home, or how'd that work?
Yeah, we're on a call-out basis, so we respond from wherever we are.
Right.
Were you at home when that call came out? Were you at home or were you working?
Yeah, well, when I got the page out, no, I was at home. I was actually in my swimming trunks in the Home Depot parking lot getting ready to buy some fertilizer.
No shit. That's funny. That's funny.
So what's the average response
I
time?
never got to go swimming that night.
Oh, no, you didn't.
No.
Go ahead, dude.
What'd you say about response time?
So what's the average, response time for you guys to get a team together and be at a call like that?
We try to be there in less than an hour.
Okay.
If some guys are on duty, we'll have SWAT assets there right away.
Right.
Command and team leaders are pretty close, but depending on the nature of the incident, we try to be there as soon as we can. So, sometimes 30, 45 minutes. Hopefully it's not longer, but we have guys that come from all around. So
Yeah.
Right. I venture to guess your county by area is probably pretty big, right?
Large, yeah.
yeah, we're 930 square miles and some change.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's
909 square
Yeah.
miles.
that's pretty big.
Yeah.
And how many deputies in that area? Like how many's your
Well,
department?
yeah, we get on our minimum on shift is 6.
Oh wow.
Did you say your minimum
And,
on duty
it's a
6?
north and a south district. So
Yeah. So you guys
we're as far as numbers are getting better, and we're getting where 9 and 10 per shift is a good thing, and it's been a goal for a while. And as things grow in the county, the deputies' ability to keep doing their job gets better and better. So
Yeah, we around here in Northern California, we have a lot of counties that are set up like you guys, and that's a lot of deputies considering where we are. A lot of sheriff's offices. I don't want to. We got educated around that. A lot of sheriff's offices around here, they only have like 3-4 deputies, man, and you're on your own, dude.
Yeah.
Like you're in an area in the county where, dude, your backup is like 45 minutes, hour away. So to hear you say that you even have 6, 10,
sometimes.
yeah, that's pretty good, man. I mean, I'd say that's pretty solid, considering your environment. But
Well, 3 or 4 was our minimum when I came on there. And the county's grown a lot. I think it takes a different mindset. It takes a different individual, and what's between the ears to know. I mean, you can be a wrestling master or an Olympic shot, but if you don't know how to talk to people,
Oh yeah. That's
Dude,
key.
I think
you got to
we-
really know how to I mean, like you're saying, your backup could be 15, 20 minutes away running code. So
Yeah, and we say that I swear we say it every episode. Like, communication in this job is so big. Like, even if you work in an urban environment where we work in the city, it doesn't matter. Like, you have to be able to talk to people and communicate. You just can't treat people like shit, especially where you guys are at. Like, you talk to somebody like that, you're on your own. Like, so
It's not even talking to them like shit. It's even, you can't even talk to them robotic.
yeah, you just got to be a human, right? Like, talk to people like a human.
Yeah, I mean, we run into it a lot in our areas with
we do too.
Urban areas. You get these cops that are, they're super cops, or they're super cops in their own minds, I guess.
Yeah,
and they're just very yes sirs, no sirs, which I bet you in Texas gets you a little bit further than it does around here. Sometimes the sirs.
We do try to have some southern hospitality, but
all right, Tom. So let's get back to you. You're being obviously life flighted out of there. Like, what's going through your mind at that point? I mean, are you in some like serious pain? Can you feel anything? What's going through your mind?
So one of the shocking things was, well, from my experience, the bullets go through you so fast you don't really feel it at first. Mm-hmm. That was it was crazy. It was like, whoa. I mean, when the one hit my bolt gun or went through my waist, I mean, I felt a little tug, but I never felt the one that hit my chest or my head. Even watching, my hand get shot in front of my face, it just went through it like it was nothing. I mean, I have a whole new respect and appreciation for the velocity and kinetic energy of a small moving fast projectile.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so what's going on now, like back on the ground? So dudes obviously shot you. They rescue you out of there. Walk us through, or tell us what happens with him and the rest of your team.
Okay, so command put together a hasty rescue team. 6 guys? Basically said, go get Tom. Mm-hmm. Everybody started kind of converging on that location. We had armor moving, stuff like that around the property. They were able to locate where I was and get to me. They had 2 guys step up, do security, and other 2 grab me, and we got out of there, and then we got to the truck. When I got to the truck, I don't know. It was kind of like I felt like I finally found a safe place, and but I was also, I don't know if I was going at that point. The shock was setting in, because like the strongest memory I have was being in the back of that truck and just staring at that Rhino liner in the back of Joe's truck. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was out of it to the point by that time that I think there was, for 2 weeks, I thought somebody else was in the back of the truck with me. At that point, Mr. Big Sexy, Mr. Lewis was, so he was helping me get my armor off and, kind of doing some initial triage and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I kind of found that comfortable place where, he had to smack me around and, tell me he had to get me ready. And he was like, I think he told me later, he's like, I got to get you fixed up so we can get back out there. And apparently I got really pissed off, and I was, a few expletives aside, I was like, we're going to go get this guy.
Yeah.
And, he said at that point, I was going to be all right. I was, still pretty, pissed off about not being able to return the favor. But
yeah,
we got to the helicopter. And at that point, like, we got loaded up. To me, that was a very catalyzing moment for that experience, when I was like, holy shit, like, this was not the way I wanted to get a helicopter ride.
No, you want to look out the window.
Yeah.
Not up.
Well, funny you bring that up.
Did you get a chance to look out the window?
Yeah, I mean, I did everything I could to distract them and tell jokes, to look out the window. So about that time of day, we were flying over one of the lakes, And of course, they're like cutting my favorite pants off and had, one of my, t-shirts on and everything. And I was like, wait, like, sir, you have to sit down. You have to lay down. I was like, I want to look out the window. And so, I think I called Sabrina at that time and, just let her know I'd been injured and where I was going. And,
you call her from the helicopter?
Yeah, I was like,
wow,
telling jokes and making phone calls. So,
Christ.
anyways, about when we were over the lake, it was a really, really nice view. Evening sun, everything, lake, people are out. It's July on the water and everything. I wanted to look out the window, so I was like, wait, I have to tell you something. I have really something very, very important to tell you. And they're like, what? And I was like, I didn't even know about the one in my chest at that time. They're like, look, I have to tell you something. And they're like, what? And they all kind of stopped. And I was like, what do you call the moisture that develops between two bodies in Arkansas?
They're like,
And they all kind of stop and look at each other like, what? And I was like, relative humidity. And they started laughing and they were like, lay down, get out of here. Like, what are you doing?
That's
It was like, who is this guy telling jokes? Like, we're trying to work on you. And I was like, I didn't know. I just wanted to look out the window on the helicopter.
So, how far are you from a hospital? That I mean, obviously you're getting in a helicopter, so it's not around the corner, I'm guessing.
What? 20 minutes? By air?
By air? Okay, so that's
20 minutes by air. You're probably about at close to 45 plus in the vehicle.
Oh wow! So yeah, that's you're doing life flight for sure. Then at that point.
Yeah. I mean, shit. Especially when you're shot, like you don't have a choice.
I mean, I think we have in most cases it's probably 15 by vehicle to like one of 3 trauma centers in our area. 4.
Yeah. I mean, we have them everywhere around us.
Yeah.
So we're lucky, but. So what happened after they load you up? Did some of your teammates stay behind and finish the mission, or kind of walk? Do you know what?
No, they just let them go. It's like, well, we're done here.
They all wanted to ride in the helicopter. They're like, hey, we want to check out the lake.
They're like, we want that. Yeah, we want the view.
They're
Dude.
just like, no, we lost this one. Let's
Especially
go.
the feel-good juice.
So what happened after that? I mean, walk us through that.
They stayed on scene and, they just kept working it. They finally got everything set up. One of the things we found out later was that not long after, the subject had engaged me and I had been injured from that at some point he had shot himself.
Okay.
And terminated that part of the deal, which they worked the structure, and then at some point there was time to. Our assets had been on duty for enough time that another team that we have a mutual aid agreement with, they came in and assisted with the rest of the operation. But
they ended up relieving you guys.
It was a day-long deal.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah. So Mark just asked, did that SWAT team end up relieving your SWAT team and then kind of concluded the whole ordeal?
Well, I mean, it was not concluded for a while after that. The guy had set a fire inside the residence, and at some point, it finally got enough momentum that it finally kept going, and the house ended up burning down at some point during the night. So I guess the next day they were going through and checking everything, and there were some that weren't accounted for, and then they kind of expand their search. And he was located in that position where he had engaged me from.
Okay, so up until they actually located him, did they still not know exactly where he was? Wow.
And then the house burnt? Wow.
All the way to the ground.
So you guys basically watched, or they watched the house burn, but still, I mean, you obviously can't go up and do any type of a rescue for anybody inside because you don't know where the guy's at.
Right.
Man, that's wild. I didn't really realize they didn't know where. They had no idea where he was. Do you guys not have like air assets or drones or?
We did. He was heavily concealed.
Okay.
In the veg.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, we know.
I mean, they didn't find him until they almost stepped on him. If that tells you.
No shit.
How well he was concealed.
Wow.
And then did he end up shooting himself in
and
the same
we had
location?
air assets and drones.
Okay. Okay.
Did he shoot himself in the same location where he ended up shooting you, or did he actually
Yes.
move? Oh, he did. So okay.
So he engages you, and then ultimately at some point he ends up turning the gun on himself and shoots himself.
Yes, sir.
God damn, man. I mean, that's pretty wild. I mean, it kind of makes you wonder, right? Like, here I mean, maybe he thought he was just going to be able to pick you off, and then, who knows? But it always makes you wonder, like, okay, this guy, you feel like he's kind of in it to win it, obviously. And then here he goes. He just turns the gun on himself and then shoots himself when the fight's coming to him. It's kind of, obviously, it's chicken shit on his part. But
yeah. Well, I take solace in the fact that I'm sure he heard everybody converging on my location, and he heard armor crashing through fences and trees, and he realized what was about to greet him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no doubt. And what kind of armored vehicles do you guys have out there?
So we got a Bearcat. Or no, we don't have Bearcat. It's the Bat. We have a Bat, which is the same thing as the other one, and then like armored bus. So we move stuff around and keep stuff secure when we get it there, and then also use it as a CP if we need to.
And that thing's fully armored?
The APC is the bear, or sorry, I can't. The Bat is, and then the bus is. It's all armored except for the top, right?
Wow. Okay. So you guys had at least a couple pieces of armored vehicle out there. Do you guys have any MRAPs or anything, or just those? Okay. And you said a Bat. Is that something like, I don't know what that is. Is that like equivalent to like a Bearcat?
The Bat. Yeah, it's made by a different company, but it's like the Bearcat equivalent.
Okay. Okay. So once you get to the hospital, man, like walk us through that.
Well, I guess by that time, friends and family had been notified. People started showing up. They'd give me several doses of feel-good juice.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess it's more kind of a defense mechanism in some way to kind of crack jokes when, you have some stuff like that going on.
Yeah.
Kind of everything. I mean, the guy's sitting there doing surgery on my butt, and I'm doing my Forrest Gump impersonation at a point where he's laughing so hard he has to stop.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do to get through it,
Yeah. I joked around when I was hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I have,
happy doctors do good work.
Yeah. No. So how long were you in surgery, and kind of what was the recovery like for you?
So what? I think they kicked me out by 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning.
That same day, or that next morning?
The next morning.
Shit, dude. So you're only in the hospital for like what, less than 24 hours?
10 hours.
Yeah, I wasn't in there very long. I mean, they patched me up, sewed this and that up, and kicked me out.
That's wild.
Well, I mean, it was full on Rona time, so everybody was all, weird about all that stuff. I know it. There definitely were some tense moments in the parking lot and down in the lobby where I was at the same place where some of the family members had gone from the subject that had created this whole incident.
No kidding.
Yeah, I don't know, because it was some of my fellows from the PD and from work and, friends and family and all that had kind of started to show up. And, once it was, there wasn't anything terminal as far as that. I was just, messed up. I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Now, the main problem was the hand. I mean, it took me 3 surgeries, 8 months to get back through rehab and PT and all that. I don't know. Workers' comp is very, very difficult.
Oh yeah, we know
cloud
that.
of what to navigate.
Yep.
I was very blessed to have a great caseworker. Darla was an advocate for me, and when something wasn't right or something wasn't good, she definitely would go to bat and do what she could. There was still a lot of things like, the doctor, that one I had in the waist, I go to a doctor that's in the system and approved, but he refers me to a trauma and wound center and surgery, and then it gets denied. And then, I'm at home for the next 2.5 months with, my wife pulling gauze out of my butt and repacking it every couple of days. So,
yeah, man,
there's some things that could have definitely been handled a lot better.
Yeah. And just to tap on the workman's comp thing, like I honestly, I can't believe what a joke it is. I've had bad experiences with it. I think, Mark, you've had bad experiences with it. I don't know if you have, but man, everybody I know that has to deal with workman's comp is like, it's a nightmare. And
we got to do an episode on that to help people.
Yeah, it really is, dude. It is. Yeah. It is asinine, the process of the whole thing. And I mean, dude, you're talking about like people that are seriously injured or wounded or having issues. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why are you making it more difficult for those people? Like, I've never understood that. And if there was one thing that I could change in our profession, it would be the streamline of how workman's comp is dealt with, because, dude, it's a fucking joke. And hearing it from you too, I mean, you're in a different state. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't get it. It just doesn't seem like they are on your side, or I don't know, man. Like, it's just, anybody listening to this podcast right now who's had to deal with it, I guarantee you they're thinking the same thing. Like, it's a joke.
It's infuriating to hear that. It's infuriating.
Every step along the way. So Dr. Roden, he was the one that put my hand together. It looks great.
Looks good
on the outside. He so actually the bullet went in right there, mm-hmm. and then came out there, broke the bone, severed the ulnar nerve, and then created like the hydrostatic shock or cavitation and everything. I mean, he said it looked like a grenade went off inside my hand.
Yeah.
I still there's still pieces of bone fragment and stuff that come out from time to time. I still have like permanent nerve damage and loss of feeling and a lot of stuff going on. But, Dr. Roten, I can't say enough of thank yous for putting it back together, so I still have a hand to use. So,
yeah.
But the frustrating part with the workers' comp deal was he would write a script for rehab and they would say no.
Yeah, that's what I like. How could you say no to that? That's what I don't understand. It's like, it's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. But
it's just the struggle between, I guess, the people that are there and know what they know. I mean, the doctors are obviously been through a lot to get where they are, and there's a knowledge base that not everybody has, and then it feels like a bean counter says no.
Yeah. Well, that's what we'll have to do a show on it. That's what it kind of comes down to.
Yeah.
The whole point of work comp.
So so you do obviously your recovery. It sounds like the bulk of your injuries is your hand. What you obviously went back to work, like walk us through like what.
So, but wait first. So it's your right hand, right? They got hit.
Mm-hmm.
Are you right-handed?
Right hand dominant, sir.
Okay. So it's even more important that you get that thing working again.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was it like? How did you determine you wanted to go back to work? Were you on the fence of maybe taking a medical retirement? Did you know you wanted to go back to work? I mean, what was that like?
The retirement thing never really crossed my mind. I mean, I remember sitting in the wheelchair, when they're kicking me out of the hospital, and I'm kind of going through the realization of how everything has changed, and looking at what mountains I had to climb just to get back to work and get back to my team.
Yeah. And how long did that take?
About 8 months.
And then after that 8 months of rehab and stuff, you end up going back full duty?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, full duty, and then went back, got on the team, got training, and got back on my quals, and back, just, and some of the other things were, just, I grossly misunderstood how many mountains there were to climb, and what I had to deal with, between my ears.
Yeah, and that's what I want to get into is mentally, how did it affect you?
The roller coaster was pretty bad. The first while, some days were okay. Some days where I was the biggest piece of shit that ever walked the face of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
I failed, and I felt like I had let my team down, and I let everybody down by not getting my end of the job done, and them having to come and get me. It's my job to go and get them, and do my job and get the bad guy, and it was a very humbling thing to come to terms with that I was the one that needed rescuing that day.
Yeah. What, man, I mean, do you think that mental roller coaster started when you went back to work? Did it start prior to you going back to work?
I mean, it was right away.
Yeah. Cause I want to know, like, what was your mind frame? Like, you're going back to work, like, where's your head at? I've shared my story. I've been involved in obviously, 4 shootings, and it's like, I always went back to work pretending I was cool, but like in the back of my mind, I had some issues going on, and I hid that, right? Because I don't know, it was just like in our career, it's just like, we don't talk about that stuff. And I didn't want to feel like I was being a sissy or something. So for me personally, like, I know that when I went back to work, I would portray like I was all good, but in the inside, like, obviously I wasn't. Were you kind of feeling the same way? Like you wanted to try to hide it from people?
Well, I mean, so many of our things, I mean, we see a lot of the horrible stuff in life that a lot of people don't see. So I think, where I was going with that was just kind of we get conditioned to compartmentalizing a lot of things.
Yeah.
Now where I was, I mean, it was bad. The nightmares. I was afraid to go to sleep sometimes. I had nightmares that the spirit was going to come in my room and try to kill me, just like when I was crawling away. And, I'd wake up from my dream and go to grab a gun and realize it was useless.
Yeah.
There was lots of reliving it. The sounds, the smells, even, some days the pain it was a big part of it. And a big part of my support system had been my dad. Didn't really matter where I was, good days and bad days. He had always, he knew me, and I think in a way better than anybody else did. And he every day he helped me crawl out of that ditch, and I ended up losing him very unexpectedly. Me and my brother did. A couple months after my deal, while I was, he died 2 days before my 3rd surgery.
Oh shit! Really?
Sorry to hear that.
So, I mean, a lot of things got compounded. I know when I went back to work, I thought I was doing a lot better than I was, and I wasn't. Had it not been for, my sergeant and some people I worked with that, they called me out on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes, dude, that's what it takes. I mean, people notice that different change about yourself, and when you're not acting right or whatever, like sometimes, and you know what, man, kudos to him for calling it out, because a lot of people won't, and they'll watch you struggle and they don't say anything. And then next thing you know, you're spiraling, I think it's awesome, dude, that somebody would call you out on it. And then the fact that you lost your dad, I mean, did you take time off of work after that, or did you try to just kind of push forward, or how'd that work out?
No, it wasn't a good situation. There was a lot of he had there were a lot of things that we had to get organized and get taken care of.
Yeah.
That's been a whole different struggle and fight in its own. I mean, not even just dealing with that loneliness of my buddy's not there anymore. My brother lives in another state, and there was a lot to finish up and take care of. He didn't have a will, so the learning curve's been pretty steep as far as what goes on with the legal system and probate and attorneys and
Yeah.
all this other stuff that I mean I had to learn the hard way. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were dealing with your own stuff at the time too. So, it's a testament to you and everything. It's interesting how some people think that when you go through a traumatic incident like you went through, that that's what you have to deal with. And yeah, that is what you have to deal with it. But you have to deal with life too. Like life throws you curveballs every day. That you have to deal with that, which compounds and sometimes becomes bigger. I can say so. Like the little things can get blown out of proportion in your own mind. Not that this was a little thing or anything, but
no, I mean I get where you're coming from.
Things that aren't big to some people, and that's not this by any means, but other things get blown up, and people look at it like, oh, why are you acting like this? And you're like, well, obviously it's not just this instance, it's everything else that I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah, the days that you're things are okay, and you just power through and go to work, do everything you need to do. But and then there's the days or those moments where I don't know how to describe it. Maybe it's like you're on like an emotional cliff, and you can be driving down the road and just see something, and you're talking about those little things. Those little things are exactly what sometimes end up pushing you off of that cliff.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think too is people that have not been in a significant or had a significant injury at work sometimes can't fully relate. It not just injury, like events, I guess it'd be easier to say, because the stuff that happens at your work, you go to work, it happens, and then now you bring it home. And like you said, I think you said it was your girlfriend or your wife, it literally has to clean bandages out, and like the pain that's associated with it, the time that it takes, the difficulty of you moving around. And then you're dealing with your buddies, your sergeants, they're calling you, checking in on you. And then you're dealing with doctors and then the work comp system. And there's so much involved with one incident at work dramatically affects your life. And most people don't really recognize that. And it just constantly compiles. And it's great to see that you pushed through that and that you made the decision and you're physically well and capable to go back to work, and you're still doing that, and you have friends that are close to you, and especially when your sergeant, and hands down to him, applaud him for sure for recognizing that in you and bringing that to your attention, because that's huge to get help. But a lot of people don't recognize that. They just think, oh, you're shot, you're at home, and then when are you going to come back to work?
Yeah, or not come back to work.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And then you have this whole support system that is around you, that all the people that are involved, your family, the people that are there every day, the general people that you work with don't really see that.
Yeah, and there's a struggle with that. Man, I'm incredibly blessed to be alive and have the amazing people around me. I mean, I am better for them being around me. Feel like I've come back from being past the edge in some ways, having to deal with a lot of that internal struggle and just fighting that darkness.
What is that dark? Are you angry? Are you in pain? Are you just like what? Have you been able to identify that?
I mean, some of it is. Just being in pain all the time. My leg, my back, and my hand. It kind of changes depending on what we're doing. Just some of the frustration of knowing that stuff will never be, back to spec. I'm back to the roller coaster ride. That's really been as hard as the fight was to go through the surgeries and the rehab and the pain and all that. The fight has really given me a new perspective and understanding. there was a day I was kind of I was out spotting. I was still had my hand all immobilized and everything, and my buddy, he wanted to go shooting, so I figured I could sit in the chair and look out a spotting scope and at least call and help him out with what he's going so we can get him ready. Mm-hmm. And I just remember hearing there was a shot that went off that I wasn't ready for mentally, and man, it was that little trigger. Everything came back. And so, some of that gets better. I had no idea that something could imprint every moment of your day as much as something like that, where some of those memories are so graphic. Even when you're awake and you're conscious and you're, going to Kroger to buy, chicken and broccoli and a 6-pack of beer. And, there was a part in, Marcus Luttrell's book where he talked about, hearing, his Mikey and then him standing with his back against the wall with his fingers in his ears and, having a new understanding or for my incident, I don't see how it compares to some of the stuff they've been through. I mean, those guys need a medal just for being alive and getting out of bed every day and being a human being. I mean, I can't imagine what they have to go through.
Yeah, I mean, shit, dude. When you talk about, you went out hunting and heard a gunshot go off and you were not mentally prepared for that, and how that probably scared the shit out of you. And I know exactly what you're talking about. And the nightmares and stuff, like, dude, I think those are all things that doesn't go away. You have to learn to live with it. But how long have you been back to work now?
Since March, almost a year. It's March 19th of 21.
And have you guys had any type of SWAT call out yet, or you've had to kind of?
Oh yeah, we've had a few.
And how's that?
And even some similar to, the call out that we started with. Actually, Bryce was there. We had an incident that ended up being a big deal, and initially responding, you're seeing stimulus coming from inside the house, and there's that moment where, hey, grab the bolt gun, the tripod, and your helmet, and let's, I need you to go lock it down so we can get somebody back there until we can get a perimeter set up. And, I probably caught myself 4 or 5 times, stopping and looking around and all that.
Which isn't a bad thing, right? Like, probably.
No, I mean, I was able to push through it and overcome it.
Yeah.
I mean, there were 4 or 5 holy shit moments.
Is that since you've been back out on some of those the SWAT callouts, has your guys' tactics changed, or when you get sent out to actually take positions, has that changed? Do you go with 2 people, or?
Yeah, I mean, they don't let me party by myself anymore.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah, for everyone.
But I mean, there's an opportunity for growth there, where maybe we can get some designated marksman program, and then just kind of use some technique and some knowledge to do some more force multiplying, and if you can get 2 guys with similar skill sets, or at least where some overlaps, that we could definitely increase our capability that we can bring to the team.
Yeah. I think there's probably a lot to learn from the incident. We always talk about
a lot to cut up.
Yeah, dude, you never walk away from those things like, oh, we nailed it, right? Like, I don't even care if the mission is successful. There's always something to learn from them. And obviously it's important to identify those things, but I'm certain you learned something your team learned something from that particular incident. And it might be something simple as, having a spotter or some type of cover to go with you. And normally we do, in a lot of situations. I mean, I've at least got somebody that works with me as far as the security element, or, somebody else that can help, glass or spot, and then we can rotate depending on how long we're going to need to be on station.
Sometimes, I get a 4-man team and we go set up a perimeter, and, as long as, the nods still work and my radio gets out, I can deal with, the crazy hogs charging out of me from the pergola.
I guess we didn't take them into account, but that's funny.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, dude. I mean, shit. Honestly, I'm glad that you're able to go back out and do that. And after everything you went through and losing your dad and all in the same time, and then being able to go out to another SWAT mission and push through it, and even like you said, like there was those oh shit moments where maybe your body's telling you like, hey, I don't want to do this, but you're like, no, we're fucking doing this because you want to get past that, right? I think that is so crucial. Oh, yeah. That's so crucial for cops to understand. And nothing against cops or officers that like get into these types of events and they end up medically retiring, right? Like there's no shame in that, but I do think it's important to hear from guys like you that have been through that and can say like, hey, I still go out, I do the job, because it's winnable. You can choose to think otherwise, right? And I talk a lot about like feeling sorry for yourself, and I've been there. Like I've totally been there. I think all three of us have, like our last episode, we talked about that. It's that feeling of like, okay, I need to stop fucking feeling sorry for myself. And, I need to start thinking the opposite, and have more of like a mental resiliency and know that I'm not one event is going to define me for the rest of my life. Like for me, like, fuck that. I'm not letting that happen. Clearly neither of you, or anybody else on your team for that matter. Cause that's traumatizing for everybody that's a part of that whole situation. Even if they weren't directly involved in it, if they were there, like it's impactful to them because you're their friend, you're a teammate. It could have been any one of them. So I know that it's impactful for everybody there.
Well, and not just there. I mean, you got to think of your spouses, significant others, family members. Sure. I mean, spouse is huge. Like I'm sure she still deals with her own issues with it.
Oh yeah. Every day you go to work, probably.
Yep.
Well, I mean, if she hears the SWAT pager off, there's normally like an oh shit that comes right after, and it's not me, because I'm like party time, and she's like oh shit.
Yeah, you're like fuck yeah, it's time to go.
Yeah,
I mean we
it's time to go.
Yeah, we live for those, right? Any SWAT guy
you live for that pager to go off.
Yeah, no doubt.
I want to go and do my job.
Yep.
I mean, a big part of me, leaving what I used to do before that and going into this was just an opportunity to help on other levels that I would have never been able to help people before. So,
yeah. And for our newer listeners to law enforcement, especially here in California, a pager is a little small box, and it just kind of goes off. You can't call from it.
Yeah.
I feel like we need an explanation to some people.
Yeah. Now it's all text messages and stuff.
Yeah.
But, we still refer to it as a SWAT page.
Yeah, we call it the page. I mean, we're not, you're not sending some like random, 10111 code or anything.
Yeah, 911. Oh shit, it's an emergency. Yeah, no, but seriously, dude, like for your wife, it's like, I think it's important for you to tell her, and I'm sure she knows this, is that every day you go to work, or if you guys go to a SWAT call out or whatever the case is, like, she should know that you're going to be on your A game all the time. Like you're going to be safe. You're not half-assing anything. And quite honestly, dude, like we've lost friends. Billy's lost a friend in gunfire at work. And I think we just have to tell ourselves that when that shit happens, A, we died doing what we love, and B, like we fucking did whatever we can, right? Like, we went out, you gave it your all. And I think that's super important to know. And I think spouses need to know that, is that possible? For sure. It's obviously possible, but I do want them to know that when you walk out that door, like I'm giving it my fucking 110%, period. And that should make them feel a little bit better. That's just how I think, right? And that's just how my significant other thinks. And you can't control what happens. You just got to give it your 110%. You don't half-ass stuff. You don't cut corners. And whatever happens. But
I want to give a shout out to your wife for sure for
Yeah.
all of that, because it oftentimes the person at home that you come home to is overlooked. And I think one thing that we do really good on this podcast is really give a shout out to the family members and the spouses and boyfriends and girlfriends of law enforcement, and hands down to her for everything she dealt with, because no doubt she probably dealt with a lot as well. And then, that lingers every day. So hands down to her.
Yeah.
And I also think, like, especially when you talk about a SWAT team or any small team, it could be a patrol team, that you need to do shit or do stuff outside of work, so that because that becomes your small family in its own way, and it's important that spouses and everything know, like, oh, that hey, he's going with so and so, and I got that spouse's number, or, whatever. Which sometimes can bite you in the ass, I guess. I've heard of stories like that, but
Yeah.
just so that there's that trust. Like, it's good to know that your significant other is going out there with somebody that you know and that you trust, that will have their back, kind of deal too.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're all kind of one small community, right? Just like the military. They do it, and we need to be doing the same thing. So I think your story is fantastic, dude. I think, man, I hope a ton of people get to hear it, because it's kind of like that survivor story, right? Like, hey, I've been through this, I got through it, and look at me, like, I'm still doing it. And I can't tell you, like, honestly, I can't fucking beat a dead horse on that enough. Like, I think that's so important. You didn't just give up. So I think your story.
Well, I mean, I'm just very lucky, and I'm thankful for you guys and what y'all are doing, and is getting it out there. I know there's still a lot of work that I have to do on myself.
Oh, for sure, dude.
And we all do. Like,
yeah.
anybody who says they're
It's
good.
constant work.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, and as long as you understand that, then you're good to go. Like,
Yeah.
if anybody ever thinks like, the road stops and it's like, oh, I should be good. Well, you're wrong. And then that's when problems start to occur. As long as you have identified, like, you have a long road to recovery. And I'm going to tell you right now, like, there's some shit, dude, that's just it's going to be with you forever. And you have to know that. Your wife has to know that. And your friends and department have to know that. And that's totally okay. I think it's equally important that when things probably start to fester for you, or maybe come up in the future, you take care of it, and you don't just put that shit on the back burner. And then you just push forward. That's, I kind of go with the motto of, like, for me, like, I live with my back against the wall, because the only way to go is forward from there, right? Like, I'm not going fucking backwards. I've been backwards, and I don't want to go back to that place again. And so, I live with my back against the wall. You can only go forward from there. And it sounds like you recognize that. So that's like step number one.
I was very fortunate. My dad had worked a little bit in the mental health field growing up, and I'd been exposed to rehab kids in summer camps.
Yeah.
So I had seen the good and the bad with a lot of things, and one way to keep kids from doing heroin is watch somebody get sick from the bends and withdrawals.
Yeah.
So
It's good exposure.
the main thing that you can't run from is what goes on between your ears, and trying to make peace with a few things.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess I kind of long for what it was like to be normal, where there weren't so many moments of my life every day that were consumed by that. There's the good days and the bad days.
Yeah. Well, I don't think. Well, you're not normal, right? You're not normal. It's not normal anymore, and
I think everybody would attest to that. I'm not normal.
me too, dude. It's all good. Embrace it. But seriously, you're not normal, and you have experiences that most people don't have, and that's what you have to recognize, and have the availability to share your experiences with everybody else and help other people. That's where you're not normal, right? So that's important to understand. Before we end it, I want to, if you could offer anything to any of the listeners, law enforcement out there, what little piece of nugget out of this experience that you've had what would you offer to somebody?
Well, I'd have to say my baseline is, the warrior mindset. And then going on from there is just kind of understanding your place where your mind and your heart and your soul are all in alignment with each other. And it takes a lot of work to get those things in peace and harmony. I don't know that I will, but, through this whole thing, doctors can put bodies back together and they can do amazing things. The resiliency of our law enforcement and our vets out there is, the best way to get a hard-headed somebody to do something is for a doctor to tell them they can't do it. And I will tell you, they will be out there and they will do it. And, but man, for the one thing, the keystone that I would set everything on would be, man, all that's good, but you gotta make peace and you gotta be all right with your head. You gotta know, when it's okay to not be okay. And I hate to say something cliche like that, but, man, those storms come in and you have to go through the storm. You can't run. You can't spend your whole life running from storms. They just get worse.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just gotta deal with it. So, really the mental health component of it, doing the job is bad enough as it is for a lot of people.
Yeah.
What people see in a shift is overwhelming sometimes. And, I still got a lot to learn. I'm still learning, a lot of how this has changed me.
Yeah.
But I know that it was hard to come to terms with the fact that I couldn't do it all by myself.
Yeah.
When I thought I could.
Yeah. No, that's great, dude.
That's great that you figured it out, and from what I can say, you figured it out. So what's the future for you? Like, is it sergeant, lieutenant, captain, sheriff? Where are you going?
Well,
Sheriff Tom.
Yeah, I don't know about that. They probably have other plans for all that. But no, really, man, I got to make good on a promise I made to my dad and I made to my brother and family, is getting everything squared away and right with my dad's estate and making sure I can help my brother out. And once I get a lot of that stuff on the personal side squared away, then I got to take time for myself. I'll work 5-6 hours before I go to work, and then work a 12-hour shift, just doing calls and emails and dealing with attorneys and real estate, and it's overwhelming sometimes. But man, all I know how to do is just one foot in front of the other, like you said, the back against the wall thing, man. You only got one direction you can go, and you got to push on. As long as I still have a will and a way, you still got to go forward. You still got work to do.
Yeah. Same
Same way as laying in that ditch with being shot up. It's time to go. It's time to go forward and get out of there. And I just once I get that, then I got to work on me and take some time. Maybe go back out to the desert. And I love law enforcement, and I just want to keep working. Want to keep working with the team and training, and helping other deputies prepare for life on the street and out in county.
Yeah, that's great. And you definitely brought up, like, the most important thing is getting your personal life taken care of, or dealing with, or having a personal life for whatever it is so much more important than what happens at work. So many times in law enforcement, it's so much more than just a job. It really is, and it's hard for me to say that it's just a job, but in the end, it really is just a job. What's more important is family, friends, what goes on outside of work, which we obviously take our work home. I mean, if there's anyone out there who says they don't take their job home, they're lying.
I mean, you got to live life. And that's one of the things you can't. The job and the dedication is a huge part of it, but you only get so much time to hang out with your friends and family and hold on to them and tell them you love them, drink a cold beer with them, and have those moments that define and resonate with why everybody's friends. You can't do a lot of that. I mean, the work is the work, and there's a lot of those experiences that bond people and create those brotherhoods and that go on for lifetimes. But
Yeah.
you have to find that balance where you live life and you do things you want to do. I mean, you want to go fishing, go fishing. You want to drive out to the country and sit in a lawn chair and stare at the countryside, whatever you got to do. But you gotta find those moments for you, and you gotta live your life so that when you can't grab them by the neck, and that there's no regrets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also important, I think, to have that support group, and the testament to your support group is that for those that don't know, he's got some of them there with him.
He does. The guy that actually set up the rescue team.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That they're there, no matter what kind of deal. I don't know him that well, but I'm guessing if you called him at 3 a.m. and said, "Hey, I need you," they're the kind of guys that'd be there. And that's important to have. And it's important that your is it wife or girlfriend? I keep calling her wife. I'm getting.
She's my wife. 18 years as of February
nice.
12th.
Nice.
So
good for you.
And it's important that your wife has those.
I'm the lucky one.
contacts,
She
too.
puts up with me.
Yeah, and it's important that your wife has those contacts too, where it's like, hey, whatever's going on, hey, can you come over here and help out, kind of deal,
Yeah.
and that's like I said, you got to have that life outside of work, but your family gets bigger when you're on that small team, or even when you join law enforcement, whatever it is.
We gonna meet his commander? Say hi,
Come on.
right?
Yeah.
Your SWAT
You gotta
commander's
make an
there.
appearance.
Uh-huh.
He's got to make an appearance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got to see that beautiful face,
Yeah.
or both those beautiful faces.
You can't be sitting there the whole time and not dropping the camera and say hi.
No, I can.
Yeah. Nah, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Good
Appreciate what
work.
y'all do.
Good work.
So I've been listening to y'all's podcast since y'all started, and now y'all are doing good things. So I appreciate what y'all are doing for just letting people's voice be heard, especially this guy right here.
Oh yeah.
He's definitely got a story to tell to dudes, and they need to hear it.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you. We
Appreciate it.
appreciate you.
Right on.
Thanks.
All right, well, Tom, man, we won't keep you. I again, dude. I think your story is awesome, dude. I mean, honestly, you inspire me. I think you inspire all of us.
Yeah.
And everybody that's listening to this, I know is going to be inspired by your story and what you've got going on. Don't forget to make time for yourself, dude. And like Billy said, dude, it sounds like you got a great support system around you. I know we can't see them, but they're there behind the camera. And you can't ask for anything better than that, So we like to end these on a cheers. I don't know if you got a drink with you, dude, but cheers, man.
Yeah, you do.
Cheers.
Cheers. Hey.
Hey, thanks, man.
Yeah, this is to you, dude.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless.
Take care, guys.
Hey, take care, Tom.
Stay safe.
Yep. And hey, Tom, real quick,
you.
if I don't know if you have an organization or if you've got anything going on, if anybody can reach out to you, an email, or I don't know if you want to give out your social media, but at least maybe an email if anyone listening has a question or wants to
you
reach
can
out.
send me. Yeah, I don't have an Instagram or anything right now. Keep a pretty low profile on the interwebs.
Yep.
Smart.
But email at tbwolf79@yahoo.com. If not, text one of the guys or bounce them over to me or whatever, and we'll get it going.
Okay.
Anything I can do to help.
All right, well-
Anybody has any questions? I'm here to help.
All right, we'll put your email in the description in the video and in the podcast app. So if anybody wants to reach out to him, shoot him an email. Sounds like he's an open book, obviously. I think that's fucking fantastic, man. We can't thank you enough, dude.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Well, thank you what you guys do.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet you guys when I head out to Texas here in May. So
You guys are all welcome.
See, now we're going. Thank you.
This is Texas. Come on, it's Texas, baby. Let's do this.
Yes.
We'll bring the crew to you,
cold
dude.
beers in the fridge. We'll go get some barbecue. We got this.
Hell yeah. All right, brother. We'll take care, man. We'll see you later.
See ya.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hey, 49, shots fired.
Copy, additional shot fired.
Shots fired, shots fired. He's shooting at us.
Suspect shooting an officer.
Suspect down. He's at the base of the stairs. White t-shirt, white male.